everyone. Welcome back to episode 54 of the Gabagools Podcast. A little bit later than your normal recording here, but here we are. March is here. You know what that means, right, Dan? What do we got?
What do we got? Madness, right?
Yeah, madness. We got
Is
the
that the
mad.
answer?
It is
Yeah.
the that's the exact answer I was looking for. Obviously, Carolina's playing right now while we're recording, so this is actually going to be quite fun because I'm a Carolina fan. If you guys couldn't tell, before we jump into about them, yeah, obviously they're going to be on. So if they start really sucking or something good happens, obviously we'll be reacting in live time here on the pod. You know, the Cuzzo over here is a Duke fan, so I know he's rooting for Carolina to lose.
I'm not like a North Carolina hater. I know
Okay.
that that's a big rivalry, but I also side with probably almost everyone else in the country that thinks that there's no way they should have made the tournament. So I don't know if you want to start there, but I
Let's
mean,
we have to jump. We have to talk about the elephant in the room or the ram in the room, whatever you want to talk about here. A lot of people are hating on Carolina, and here's the thing: is like, yes, they did have one win total for the year. But if we're talking about that, like they won like in quad 2 wins, they went undefeated. And also they're honestly one of the hotter teams, and they were on the brink of beating Duke this past weekend or
I
whenever
mean,
they
look,
played.
they've got some solid players. It just for whatever reason it it didn't culminate this year. But if for whatever reason, they're a big brand. You look at the two other. I mean, there's the thing is there's always this situation every year. This was more egregious, right? Because North Carolina is a big school that makes the tournament every year and is
Yeah,
usually a pretty good seed. And this year they squeak in by the skin of their teeth when they probably shouldn't have. And I mean, you like I said, you can make this case every year for teams. I feel like this team shouldn't have made it. This team should have, but I'll be honest. I've got San Diego State in this game, so yeah, we'll see. I could
yeah.
see North Carolina winning a few games, though.
You know
That's the
what?
thing. They win this game, they could get high, and they've been hearing all
That's
the chirping.
that's what I love. I love just give me that reason. Just like, have you ever seen that Tom Brady when he does that like little like not speech, maybe it was a speech, it was at like a conference, and he's sitting there and he was like, what got him motivated, and he was like, what did he say, what did he call me, just like true psychopath behavior. And then you go back, you watch The Last Dance, you had Michael Jordan do the same thing where it was like, he would make up a scenario in his head like, oh, Dan said this about me, like, and then I go on a huge winning streak. I love that mentality personally. And right now, they just gave Carolina all the little bulletin boards you needed right at the right time. And this is how they were successful. In 2022, that team not shocked the world, they're a blue blood, but like shocked a lot of people when they upset number 1 Baylor, and they went on that run, took out Duke in Coach K's final game. So like, a lot of things Carolina has done in the past to do that. So this is a perfect time to do it. So hopefully, but one note I wanted to make too, someone tweeted about how like quad 1 is based off of net rankings. North Carolina is in 36 in the net ranking. Every team in the top 40 of this year's bracket or this year made the tournament. So for what it's worth, the two teams that should have gotten in were West Virginia, who was they were ranked number 51 in the net rankings, and then Indiana, which was 54. So they wouldn't have even been a quad 1 win for North Carolina if they put them on the schedule. And Carolina's scheduled really tough this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest sort of thing is like, well, how do we judge that, right? And I guess you could talk about that for another pod, but
Yeah.
you know, they're in. We're already at 2-2 here in our first almost 2 minutes of the game. So we'll see what happens. But I got the Aztecs, baby.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but yeah, we'll get live reactions from this. It's honestly my favorite time of year. I like the March Madness. Like, I always either try to schedule it off of work or work from home that day so I could like watch. And the cool thing about YouTube TV too now is years ago I put up 3 TVs in my basement so I could watch March Madness. That was the whole thing. So I could watch every game. And now we've gotten to the point where you can watch all 4 games that are on at the same time on YouTube TV with the quad box. So, um, it's honestly my favorite time of the year. And as Rags makes his little appearance here.
I just realized that for myself, I'm probably going to have to be charging up the AirPods before
Yep.
I leave the house, and then I'm going to have to bring my portable charger because I'm going to be having the games in my ear. Phone's going to be in the bag when I'm running everything off, and that I try to get a day off Thursday or Friday every year. This year had a lot of days to take off with a bunch of stuff coming up, but yes, this is definitely my favorite time of the year as well. Baseball is just about getting going, and then March Madness. I mean, we are knocking on the door of it's like 11 a.m. to like 11 p.m. of 2 days in a row, Thursday and Friday. I mean, it's just heaven.
Yeah, I mean, even right now too. Like today, like we had the Cubs and Dodgers kick off the MLB season this morning. We're not going to talk about them at all. We just don't have the time to do it because we have so much to jump into. But it was like one of those days. You wake up early, you watch the game, and then you like get excited because you have March Madness, the playing games. Which the playing games are a lot more fun. It used to be just the two 16 teams in Dayton. Now we got 4, and 4 of those teams are actually powerhouses usually. So.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a good system. It's a good system they've got going. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But let's jump in. Some fun facts to lead us
Oh,
off
fun
about the March
facts.
Madness. One, when you're filling out your bracket, you're not going to be perfect. So that's obviously number one. Everyone knows that. It's like one in.
Hang on, let me write that down real quick. That's Jeff's fun fact of the day. We're not going to be perfect. Let me write that down. All right, you continue.
All right. The real fun fact: no team west of Texas has won since 1997. That winner was Arizona.
Okay, interesting. You say
Yeah,
west of the sun?
west of Texas.
Oh, west of Texas. I was like, wait a minute. West of
West
the
of the
sun?
sun.
The hell's
um,
going on here,
So
Moses?
when you're filling out your bracket, any team that you have to, some of these teams you might have to look up because honestly, I think
Yeah.
Creighton's in like Nebraska.
Well, I mean,
I had no idea that they were in Nebraska,
yeah. I mean, as far as some of those teams, yeah. I mean,
but yeah,
you'd have to look at, I mean, you would. Well, no, I mean, I like the Grand Canyon, right? And if we're just looking at like favorite schools, like Grand Canyon,
that's
that's
a
got
fun
to be one of the cooler schools to go to, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but
What do you go?
they're not gonna win. Well, have you ever seen their games? They like used to advertise it on like Instagram, TikTok, or whatever because of how outrageous like their stadium was. Like student section up to the ceiling, and just it was wild. It looked pretty cool. But then it's like you could also it was like online for Phoenix. You could like go to school online there. So
I don't think I do that. Oh. But yeah, I like Grand Canyon's name. I also like who else do I like here? I like as far as just names go, Robert Morris.
yeah,
Just a name, right? Just a
yeah.
name.
There's a Robert Morris in Chicago, I think.
I think we might have some here, and then this might be my third. Well, we'll be Wofford, sure, Troy, but I like High Point too.
Yeah,
That's another good
High
one in
Point.
this one.
Yeah,
It's a good
unique.
name.
But yeah, also another tip too: no seed higher than 8 has ever made the title game. That team being North Carolina. I mean, there was probably a team before them, but recent memory, 2022, they made it to the championship as an 8 seed. And then only once in the past 10 tournaments has a champion come from a conference with the most bids, tied for the most. And the team that had the most this year, the SEC.
Mhm.
So if you're planning to pick Florida, Auburn, Alabama, any of the other 14 teams that they picked, it's only happened once. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I saw that. You had some good stuff there. I have, as far as like top seeds go, right here, 13 of the past 17 champs have been number one seeds. So
Yeah.
that's the one thing. It's like, you could start looking at these stats if you try to really dive into it a little bit deeper than the average person. But, you know, you got to pick your some upsets, right? The first round or two, but really when it comes down to like the Elite Eight, the Final Four, that's when you got your best teams as
You
long
have
as
to
everyone's
talk it.
healthy, playing well. Yeah, so
And this one specifically seems like one of
felt
those
chalky.
tournaments. It is. It's just very much like one seeds. I'm okay picking a lot of one seeds to go far. Um, but jumping into the first four, obviously. So, oh yeah, forgot to lead off with this. Are you a paper copy guy? Do you print it out and like to hold it in your hand? Yes.
Yes.
So I have
Oh
like
yeah.
I have a coach's clipboard
Old
basically.
school.
Old school. Like to have it in front of me, like to feel the paper, give it a little smell, Got
Do
to have
you?
it out. Yes. So
It's a little
obviously
weird.
the first four we had
It's
we
a
had
hot take.
Alabama State and St. Francis. They played earlier. Alabama State won. They will go on to face Auburn. Um, that's going to be a one and done. Right now, obviously, we mentioned North Carolina and San Diego State are playing. They're playing for the 11 seed. The winner will go play 6 seed Ole Miss. We'll jump into the bracket. But the reason I'm bringing up the first four is at least one of the first four has advanced to the second round in 12 of the last 13 tournaments, which has only been around for 13 with the first four. And 5 of those teams have reached the Sweet 16, and 2 of them made the Final Four, which is UCLA in 2021 and VCU in 2011.
Goes to show that sometimes even if you have to, if you got in by the skin of your teeth, sometimes it's all about momentum. You win that
Yeah.
first game, you're like, okay, here we go. And yeah, every now and then it's like, yeah, people don't always give the first four teams a huge chance when you're filling out the bracket. And it's a good note.
Yeah. And you know what? So, like, when I'm looking through some of these matchups, we could jump into the South region. I could probably put it on the screen for everybody if we want. Let's see here. This is good for the people who aren't listening because that just makes me laugh when we talk and they don't listen or we have no idea. But obviously, we have the South region right here. We have Auburn or facing number one Auburn facing Alabama State. That's an easy one. A one seed has only lost twice total. One was Purdue, one was Virginia a couple years ago. Auburn's easily going to win this. I think you would agree.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, they look good.
Yeah. So they've been kind of struggling though. I think they've lost 3 out of their last 4. So Auburn's going to be a team overall that I'm going to be very tentative to go very far once I fill out my bracket fully. I usually wait for the first 4 to be done and then I go from there. But that's a tough one. Now the next one is Louisville at not at Creighton, but versus Creighton. That one is a unique game. 8-9 matchup. I think Louisville was underseeded. They should have been the 5 seed, I think, personally, over Michigan. It's tough to say though, because these are 2 pretty good teams, with Creighton and Louisville. Who did you pick for that one?
You know what? The 8-9s are a coin flip. I feel like I don't know if I actually looking at my bracket. I have 2 8s and 2 9s, and that's the way I like to do it. So
Yep.
this one I got Creighton in. Louisville. Prove me wrong, but please don't because we're going for the perfect bracket this year. So the Creighton, the Blue Jays, go Blue Jays.
Go Blue Jays. Yeah, and I had to look it up earlier though. Like Creighton's in Nebraska, which is just wild to think too.
I had no idea.
No, I thought it was on the East Coast, like somewhere like Rhode Island or something.
Yeah, so did I.
You know what? And because I'm ACC biased, I'm really debating about taking Louisville here just because the ACC and I have to give them some love here. But I'm going back and forth with Creighton. I think Creighton's a really tough team. They played UConn pretty tough. I think they actually beat them.
They
And
had
yeah,
some good wins. They might have beaten UConn, if not once, they might have beat them twice. But
right.
I think they both had good wins on the year. But I got to go with the Blue Jays. Got to
Yeah,
do it.
I'll take Louisville. I'm going to go with my heart on that one. Go with Louisville. Next matchup is the 5-12 matchup, which is
Fun matchup.
this is actually going to be a really fun game.
Yeah.
But what can be said about Michigan, or what can be said about the 5-12 matchup? That's the most popular upset pick for the people who've never filled out a bracket. or just want some information. That's where all the upsets usually happen. There's been a couple years where none have happened in that. A couple years ago that happened, but typically, the 5-12 is where you pick the upsets. Now, this UC San Diego team is new to the tournament. They've never played. They just got like promoted into like that D1 to be eligible for the berth. So I think that's pretty fun. But everybody is super high on them. I actually think that they're favored in that game too, for that upset. I'm trying to find them. I think they play Friday. I don't know if you have any information on them, but I can pull up more.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have the longest win streak in the tournament right now, going with 15 straight. So I'm looking, and if they're favored, then I took the favorite in that. I am going with UC San Diego over Michigan. It's an interesting pick. I think Michigan's a solid team too, but um, those 5-12 matchups, I think the 11, 12, 13, all of those, man. Oh, it's every year. It's like,
Those are the ones you always try to pick like the upsets in right away, just because you never know, and like most of the time, those are where you get the upsets. But Michigan won the Big Ten this year, so obviously, you have to give their give the tip of the cap to them because they did
yeah.
win a pretty good Big Ten tournament. Um, they do have 2 7-footers. So that kind of makes me not want to take UC San Diego because it's hard to take on two guys that are 7 foot and be able to stop them.
You know what? Comes down to hopefully UC San Diego's making their shots. I think they. What did I see here? I read they don't turn it over much, which
That
is
too.
always a good thing. You can't overlook that if you've got a team, and I think Michigan does turn it over a lot. So you could
That
have
yep.
that sort of play against Michigan into San Diego's hands, and then they shoot it pretty well from beyond the arc, about 36.5%. So, um, you know what? It's the madness time, right? Sometimes you got to get a little wacky, you got to get a little loopy,
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, you got to get loose, right? It's March. You know, it's tough because of, like I said, Michigan won their tournament, so obviously they were kind of overseeded because there was teams that played a lot better than them. They had a better seed.
Hmm.
That was a big three from Carolina. Right now, obviously 16-11, 12 minutes left in the first, so had to give a little update on them. But back on the Wolverines, they kind of play a lot of just pick and roll too. Like I said, with Danny Wolf, who played at Yale, we'll touch on them in a little bit. But they're basically going to have to rely on their offense not struggling, and they seem, like you mentioned, they turn the ball over a lot. It's a recipe for disaster in the tournament, and like you said, or like we said earlier, to UC San Diego, it's their first time in the tournament. They've won 15 in a row. Um, they usually win the turnover battle. So if they turn over Michigan, this is a very popular pick. I'm going to be struggling to really not pick them. They're plus 2.5 now, so I just looked at the odds. Who you picking?
I'm going with the 12 seed.
There you go. All right, first 12 seed up there. So I'll probably lean. I'm waiting, obviously, to fill it out, but that's the one I'm kind of leaning towards with the rest of America. I want to be different and pick Michigan just because I want to pick a different 12, but that seems the more likely one. But jumping into the next matchup, we have Texas A&M out of the SEC with the 4 seed, and then we have number 13 Yale, who seems to always be in the tournament. And Yale was a popular upset pick too a couple years ago against Auburn, and they were successful.
Yeah, this is. I don't know if I went too wacky this year, or I feel like each region is a little different. I got
Yes.
some. I have more upsets in. I think the South and the. I have to go through it, but the South I got a few upsets. So, ding a ling a ling. You first 13 seed Yale. We're going Yale with the upset over A&M in the first round. Um, Yale's a good team. You start looking at the way at the shooting percentages, and they shoot the ball well. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, there's a lot to like with this team. You can look at strength of schedules, and obviously Yale isn't going to have that. But if you're a good team, and they were here last year in the tournament, and they returned I think a few guys from that team. So I like when you've got guys that were on the team in the tournament the year before, and
The
you've got some
experience.
experience.
Yeah, the experience is huge with them. Also, 113 seed has won a first round game in 28 of the last 39 tournaments. Um, so
Oh, I have
obviously,
that.
so it's one of those things where you have to have at least one of them. Does it happen every year? No, but I mean, Yale's going to be the popular pick just based off of how A&M kind of faltered during the end of the season too. I mean, Yale's one of those teams that just plays a pretty good game. I mean, they're smart, obviously, because they go to Yale, but they shoot the ball well. They don't turn it over. They get offensive rebounds, kind of pretty much everything you want out of a basketball team. They just play it, and then they, you know, load up the box with defense and force teams to shoot beyond the arc. And if you're not a good 3-point shooting team, it's going to be a long day. I'm also probably going to lean with Yale in this matchup as well. A&M is just a frustrating team. Uh,
Yeah.
they have a good decent record this year, but they led the nation in offensive rebounding, but it's because they're the worst shooting team in the SEC. So, for what it's worth,
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it, and it's one of those four seeds you look up sometimes, and you look at like the three, four, five, and they look like they're kind of a weaker four seed, at least in my opinion. And Yale, to me, I mean, they shoot the ball so well. I
yeah,
think it's almost 39% from beyond the arc. So, I mean, if they're hitting their threes, they could beat just about anybody.
yeah, absolutely. Moving into the sixth matchup, obviously, there's not a lot to talk about in this one yet until this Carolina game's over. Um, we're going to be as simple as possible with this. If UNC wins, I think you're going to take San Diego State too, right? To
I
beat.
got, I've got, I've got Ole Miss losing the first round. So yeah, whoever wins the first four game, I think we both have them winning.
Yep, exactly. So whoever wins this game between San Diego State and UNC is going to go on, and then we jump into the next one, which is a 14 or 3-14 matchup: Iowa State versus Lipscomb. Another fun name for a school. Um, a 14 seed have only won 2 first round games since 2017. I actually love picking 14 seeds to win. It's only worked out once, and I think it was like Stephen F. Austin like years ago when they beat.
Oh yeah,
You remember them? They had that nice
fun
little.
pick.
It
Yeah,
was.
I remember when they had that nice little run. Yeah, it won some games.
It was like the only like pick in that region that I got right, like with the upset picks. But yeah, so I mean, I really like to pick it because Iowa State's best player is out, and this is why I said if Carolina can get through San Diego State tonight, which I expect them to, they can go rest up, play on Friday, knock out. I think they play Friday, knock out Ole Miss. They can go on a run here and make a Sweet 16. I don't know. It could happen. But Iowa State, obviously, earlier in the year, they were one of those teams that was had a chance to win the whole thing. They're struggling. The Cyclones are one of the most balanced teams as well. They play defense. That's what they do to win. Their ability to generate turnovers, make opponents uncomfortable. Kind of a good defensive team just to force players to um, you know take bad shots, turn it over. Um, and they shoot a high percentage of 3-pointers too. So, you have anything on Iowa State that I might have missed?
I think you nailed pretty much everything I was going to say. I'm taking Iowa State in this game. You can't take all upsets,
No,
unfortunately. I mean, that would be freaking madness. That would be madness flipped on its head.
madness.
But I will say Lipscomb. I missed that name when I was mentioning my fun name a few minutes ago. I'd like to take them. I can't though. I gotta stick with the Cyclones.
I honestly don't know much about Lipscomb either. I'm trying to figure something
Couldn't
out.
tell you one thing about him. Couldn't tell you one player.
No, I
Sorry,
couldn't
Lipscomb.
either. And I'm trying to find something like while we're chatting on them, just to see if there's anything fun that like stands out that will make me want to
Who's
pick up.
their Who's their mascot?
That's a great question as well. I don't even know that. Um,
That's all I need to know.
Right, for real. I mean, they lost to Arkansas. They lost to Kentucky. Okay, so here we go. Um, they're saying that it's a potential bracket buster. They shoot it well from everywhere. They rely on the three ball. They limit turnovers. Kind of what you want out of a team. They have a really good player that's like has 20 points per game, 8 rebounds. Veteran group. You always like that. All five
Mm,
starters have made 33 pointers. I'm kind of talking myself into Lipscomb here,
it's a race.
especially with Iowa State's player that's out. I think it's his name is like what is his name? Lipsy. Lipsy. His name is Tamin Lipsy is expected to play, but he might be out. He sat out the whole Big 12 tournament. So
But he's expected to play.
that's what it said. But I saw another report that he's out. So
Well,
I got eyeballs emojis on Lipscomb. I probably won't take them. I'm going to go with Iowa State just on the record right now, but eyeball emojis. We're watching that game. We'll probably place a bet
yeah.
on Lipscomb to win, but in the bracket, we're not taking Iowa State because when North Carolina wins tonight, we'll take them to beat um, Ole Miss and to upset either Iowa State or Lipscomb.
Okay, we'll see about that one.
Yeah. Next matchup, Marquette with Shaka Smart versus New Mexico. New Mexico is one of those teams that I just burns me every year. I feel like there's always this hype.
Yeah.
Like West
They
always
burned me last year.
every year, man. The Mountain West just is like terrible in tournaments. So it's really hard for me to pick them to win. Just based off of their conference, they don't really play anybody. They lost to St. They did beat UCLA. Lost to St. John's. They could put up points in a hurry, but their defense really is what really stands out. They're top 25 in efficiency and defensive rebounding percentage. They have a Mountain West Player of the Year. Lobos haven't won a tournament game since 2012, so I think you can kind of just take your pick right there based off of that. I mean, Marquette plays with Shaka Smart. He was originally with VCU like all those years ago, if you remember that. They score points off of turnovers. Um, they do shoot a lot of threes, and they kind of burn people too. But I'm still picking Marquette in this matchup.
You know what? This might be one where we're flipped. I might like the Lobos in this one. Marquette to me, yeah. Just to put it lightly, I feel like they've burned me a little bit. I don't know about Marquette. I don't think they're that good this year. New Mexico, I don't know if they're as good as they were last year. I felt like last year they were pretty good and trying
Yeah.
to make a nice run, and yeah, they screwed me last year. But I got faith in them coming back. You said they haven't won a tournament game since 2012. Well, guess what? I say they're due
All
for
right.
a game, at least a game this tournament. You're gonna win a game this year, Lobos.
I wish. I mean, I'm gonna watch that game and be upset when they do win, but I just feel like every year I pick them to win, they just burn me. Even when they have like everything in their favor, they're playing on the West Coast and they just can't pull it out. Um, I'm taking Marquette. You're taking the Lobos. Um, Next matchup, pretty easy. 2/15. A 15 seed has won a first round game in the past three of the four tournaments. Princeton in 23, St. Peter's in 2022, and Oral Roberts in 2021.
Oral Roberts. Now that is a school.
I think they
They
beat
had
Duke, right?
they might have a couple years ago. Yeah, they and that now there's a name for you, Oral Roberts. That'll get you aroused.
Hey,
Um,
hey, bonk, bonk meter here.
yeah, okay, we'll call it a bunk meter. Um, we're on the Michigan State game, right?
Yes.
Michigan State Bryant. I got to be honest. I'm sorry, Bryant fans. I
Yeah.
don't. This is another one I don't know much about you. In Michigan State, I've always been a fan of the Spartans. The last few years, I have not been picking them in some games, and they have burned me. So I'm gonna say I think I've learned my lesson. I'm picking them to win a couple games in this tournament. Let's go, Mr. Tom Izzo. And yeah, Spartans take at least this first game.
There you go. So that concludes. I'm going to take the Spartans as well. I'm a big
Oh
fan of
yeah.
Izzo. March is made for Izzo. You know what's funny though? He's very dominant. He's made quite a few title runs or Final Fours, but he hasn't won since like 2000.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that program used to be, I mean, they were up there with Duke and some of the other big schools that were perennial powerhouses every year that weren't just a 5 or a 6 seed. They were usually 1, 2, or a 3. And, there are two this year, but they've had a lot of years recently where they're an 8 or a 9. And it's like, these aren't the typical, like you said, the Izzo from a little bit more back in the day. I mean, he's been around a while. Um, they seem to make the tournament almost every year, but yeah, they. I don't know if it's that they're not getting the same type of players that they used to or what, but yeah, I feel like they were more dominant back in the day, no
Absolutely.
doubt.
And that being said, though, like a little bit on Michigan State, because we obviously have to talk about them. They're one of the deepest, most resilient teams. They obviously won the outright Big Ten. Multiple players can take over the game, so that's what you want to see. They play really good defense, as Izzo usually does. So anyone that like score as a high scoring team, they should be able to keep them in check. They're good on the defensive rebounding. They're good in fast breaks. So pretty much everything. They have a ton of energy on the floor. I think this team's going to make a deep run. So, who do you think's making it out of this side? We'll just leave it at that. We're not going to go through pick by pick. Who's winning the South bracket? If you had to, you can change it later. But right now, who are you picking?
Hmm. I mean, yeah, I mean, it got to be either Auburn or Michigan State, and I guess I'll just give it to Auburn because it seems a little chalky. Um, they're too good. I would assume if they went up against them and they play their game, but yeah, I'll go with Auburn.
I think I'm leaning Michigan State. I'm talking myself into them. I know they didn't win the Big Ten tournament,
Spartans.
but just based off of who they play, I think they can kind of cakewalk unless they face North Carolina. I think they can kind of cakewalk into a Final Four. So,
I like the North Carolina little jab in there.
yep.
You know what? It's that's what it comes down to when you're picking your final four. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, historically, like two seeds really don't. I don't know. I don't remember the last time a two seeds actually won a tournament. I mean, like you said earlier. Oh, so here we go. Just one two seed has made the championship in the past 11 tournaments, and that was Villanova, who won as a two seed in 2016 by a buzzer beater against my North Carolina Tar Heels. So
heartbreaker for you.
would have went back to back, 16 and 17. So obviously, but yeah, I mean, it's tough, obviously, to win, but I think they can make it out of this region. I'm not high on Auburn. I think Auburn could lose early, personally.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen, but they're man. I mean, if they play like they should, I mean, they're a damn good team.
Yep. All right, jumping into the West bracket. Kind of funny to say the West bracket with Florida in there. Florida is one of the hottest teams right now. I already know you're going to pick them to win this matchup against Norfolk State. Norfolk
Hmm.
State, solid team, usually wins or makes the tournament. But Florida is literally probably the best offensive team right now, plus playing an elite defense with Alex Condon and Elijah Martin. They have Walter Clayton Jr., just excellent shooting team from the field. Aren't many weaknesses with this one, so obviously going to be a popular pick to make the Final Four.
Yeah, what else can you say? Florida Gators.
Alligator, alligator, eat them up, eat them up. All right, next matchup. The 8-9 UConn, the back-to-back champs, made the tournament by the skin of their teeth. Trying to go for that third title. Offense is led by Solo Ball and Alex Caravan. They're pretty good, but their defense is taking a step back, obviously. They get into foul trouble. They give up a lot of threes. UConn is still a pretty good defensive interior team, but, you know, they're just not the same team that we've seen the last 2 years, but they're still pretty good at making the free throws when you need to. Oklahoma on the other side started out 13-0. I think Porter Moser is their coach. So this is a fun one. Dan Hurley versus Porter Moser. If you remember him, he coached at Loyola recently too. So led that team
Oh,
to a
that's
deep run.
right.
Yep.
That's
So
you
makes
know
you
what?
eyeball emoji, obviously. Jeremiah Fears, pretty good freshman. He usually takes over the offense. They've been pretty hot the last 3 to 4 games. Um, this is a popular upset pick if you had to pick one for Oklahoma over UConn. I'm not personally doing that. I believe in Dan Hurley. We're going to see Florida versus UConn in that second round.
Yeah, I got the Huskies as well. Huskies are trying to become the second program to win three straight national titles. I don't know if you know.
I don't.
Uh, do you? All right, so I'll just
UCLA?
spoil it. UCLA, yeah, they won seven in a row apparently from 67 to 73. Not just three.
Side note, can we talk about how boring sports really were back in that time frame? You had the Yankees winning a bunch of years in a row. You had the UCLA
The
team. I'm trying to think. Somebody for football, I feel like was super dominant then too. There was, and then so Yankees. You had the UCLA.
You probably had either the Celtics or the Lakers winning,
Oh, that's
all
yeah.
those.
No, Celtics. Yeah, I was gonna say it was the Celtics because I think that was
Was that Bill Russell's era?
Bill Russell. Yeah, Mister
Yeah.
11. You know what? He doesn't get enough. I know this isn't the right pod. Long story short, Bill, he should get the GOAT conversation too. Granted, he was playing against like really bad competition, but he's got 11 rings.
You can't argue with 11 rings.
Yeah. Anyway, back on track. Another 5-12. This is a very popular one with Colorado State over Memphis. Memphis has kind of looked like shit the last couple weeks. So you obviously have to, take that into effect. This is the one I kind of want to take the Rams in here. Shout out my friends that live in Denver, aka Richie Four Bags. And Colorado State's not there, but he'll get the point. They've rattled off 10 straight wins leading up to it. You like to see that, similar to Florida. They have a bunch of wins over top 50 opponents. That's 12 of them. They just have good senior guards too, and like I said, Memphis won their tournament barely by the skin of their teeth, and they just, they beat Michigan State, they beat Missouri, they beat a bunch of teams, but I don't know. What do you feel? What are you feeling here?
Well, I've already taken one 12 seed, so what are we thinking here? Well, I think I'm going off the rails here. We're going with another 12 seed. We're going
Let's
Colorado State. This
go.
is the time of year where you just got to say, you know what? Fuck it. All right? And that's the
Yeah.
first one of the pod. We're going to go ahead and mark it down. But you know what? It's the time of the year where, if you can't live dangerously, just don't do a bracket. Don't show up. You can't just don't even live in March. Go hibernate for a month. Okay.
Yep.
This
Wait for
is
baseball. Wait for
this
baseball.
is this is the big boys. This is the big leagues right here. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Like we said, 5-12 matchup. Colorado State's underseeded in this one. They should have been a higher seed. That Memphis team, like I said, is not very good.
I couldn't agree with you more. You gabagool.
Jumping into the next matchup, I really wanted to take Grand Canyon versus Maryland. I think also Maryland's banged up too. I don't think they're playing that well. I know that they had an early loss in the Big Ten tournament, but they do play good defense. They push the ball in transition. When they make a run, it's really tough, but they're not deep at all off their bench. So as soon as their starters go out, that's kind of usually when when they start letting up the points, letting teams back in. So Grand Canyon, popular pick usually. They went to the tournament last year. They beat St. Mary's, but I mean, who is that St. Mary's team that was really that good? Probably not. They did, almost beat Bama into the final minutes of that Sweet 16 last year. They brought everybody back. They're pretty senior, but they're just so chaotic. And I think that's the problem with them is they're chaotic. But if I had to pick a 13 seed right now outside of Yale, Grand Canyon's giving me the eyeball emojis right now, my friend.
You know, you've been using that eyeball emoji a few times. This one I went back and forth with. As of right now on my bracket, I have Maryland
Yeah.
written up there, but I've really wanted to go with Grand Canyon. And again, it's not submitted yet,
No,
but
no, same here, same here. If I had to, I'm kind of leaning to take the Canyon. I don't know what their mascot is, but the Grand Canyons. I'm not going to pick them yet, but Maryland's kind of making me want to pick them just because I got to stay kind of tentative here.
yeah, I don't love Maryland, but you just feel like God. If you keep taking all these 12s and 13s, it's like at some point, you know, the lower seed's gonna win. So I just feel like the Terrapins maybe they win a game here. I don't know. We'll see. I got Maryland right now.
All right. Do you like crab?
You know, I'm more of a crab cake guy than just cracking open some crab legs, but I'll eat them. I like crab.
What's that line out of Wedding Crashers where it's like uh, something football, crab cakes? That's what Maryland does.
Boy, that I couldn't tell you right now on the spot.
It's like one of the greatest lines of that movie. That's what Maryland does. Anyway, moving in, we got Drake, who's a popular pick over,
True,
facing six
true.
seed Missouri. Let's see, who do we have here? We got Drake, who usually makes a tournament appearance. I think they have a brand new coach, Ben McCollum, who's been awesome. He spent 15 years at Northwest Missouri, leading them to a 30-3 record, and won the Missouri Valley Conference and conference championship. They beat them in a number of ways. They're strong defensively, forced turnovers. He brought basically everybody from his Northwest Missouri State team over to Drake. So for what it's worth, they're a popular pick, but they play so slow, which worries me because Missouri is an accurate shooting team, inside and out. They shoot it well at the free throw line. It's one of those teams that, like, if they can hold the team to less, free throws, not get into foul trouble, they're going to score a lot of points. So, like, it's hard for me not to pick Missouri in this one. They're favored by 6.5 as well.
Really?
Yeah, that's a lot. That seems like a lot for Drake.
Yeah. I got Drake written down here. I don't know about Mizzou. Sorry to all you Missouri Tiger fans or whatever their mascot is. Something about Drake I like, and they're one of the more popular upset picks I think in the tournament this year. So I like what Drake's bringing to the table. I think they can go on a run and win a couple games. I think I have them getting to the Sweet 16. Spoiler alert.
I
So
could
we're
see it
going
as well.
Drake.
I could see it as well. Um, this is a tough one because I'm picking so many 11 seeds. I almost like every 11 seed personally to win a
Yeah.
game. I almost do because obviously we have a playing game on the other side, Midwest. East, VCU has eyeball emojis, but I think I'm going with BYU there. Back into the West.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning Drake as well. I think that the way that they play is just really dangerous. Moving into the 3-14 matchup with Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington. Who do you got in that one?
I got Tech.
I got Tech as well. JT Toppin averaging 18.5 points per game, 9.2 rebounds. They're dangerous. That's a team that I have a lot of excitement for, just based off of how they've been playing recently and just how deep they are. And if you remember, they made the national championship a couple years ago.
They did. I think that was with different coach, right? Didn't they have Chris Beard when they went there?
Yeah,
Um, Texas Tech, though, I mean, hey, they've kind of had a resurgence with their program the last 5 or years or more. I mean, they've been back up there. They've been high seeds. They got some solid players. I like them to at least win the first round. That second round matchup, if it's them and Drake, I think could be a really good game. So we'll see.
Yeah. Some notes on them. They play really good brand of defense as well. So, um, you know, I think overall, just history is written on the wall. They've as a 3 seed, they made the Sweet 16 twice and they lost, and then they were runner up in 2019. So I think the history repeats itself, and they make a deep run in this tournament. Now,
Okay.
the best little quad bracket here, and I wish I could go watch them play wherever the hell they are. Kansas versus Arkansas, and then St. John's versus Oklahoma. Talk about like perfect coaching. You have Bill Self, you have John Calipari, and then you have Rick Pitino.
Yeah, you got there's God, I forgot Patino was with St. John's this year,
Yeah.
and then I'm like,
I
well,
love
maybe
Pitino, man. He's just wild. Like
he's wild, is what he is. But
he,
I've got St. John's winning some games. I like St. John's a lot. There's a lot to like. They might be my favorite 2 seed. Alabama. I mean, they're pretty good too, and obviously Michigan State. But um, St. John's, yeah, they're going to beat Omaha. No offense to you, Omahaians, or whatever. The Kansas game is what I'm calling it. Um, Interesting game. The seven
yeah,
ten seeds is almost it's like another coin flip with the 8-9, in my opinion. And I'm going with the 10 seed in this one. I'm going Arkansas. I'm hands up,
hey,
hands up. I'm
you're
I'm,
going with
I'm doing
Cal,
it.
huh? So Cal can be like, "Hey, guy, hey Kentucky, I could still win games here."
You know what? He's another coach that's when he was with Kentucky, it seemed like, man, you choked a lot. They'd have some runs every now and then, but we'll see what he can do with his new school. He's in, a couple of big time coaches have gone to new schools. They're already back in the tournament because they're good coaches, so they get people to play for them. So yeah, I'm not a huge Calipari fan, but I'm going Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean they have one injured player, but I mean Boogie Fland, they actually played better without him for the 2 months that he was hurt. So this Kansas team, obviously led by Hunter Dickinson, he'll probably enter the draft. I think eventually, hopefully this year. He's kind of like their team. This isn't the
Yeah,
normal Jayhawk team that we're used to, but they have a lot of
no,
experience in the NCAA tournament. Leaning on the seniors. So we'll see. We'll see. I kind of want to pick Kansas just because I usually do.
I mean this one, yeah, again, I was kind of like a coin flip for me, but we're going with the 10.
Yeah. Obviously, St. John's, we're both picking them. Oh, Omaha. I keep seeing a lot of people want to pick Omaha, but I don't get why. Um, but like I said, Rick Pitino, one of the best defenses in the country, great coaching. Has led pretty much every team he's been at, including Iona, to a tournament. Uh, they won the Big East. I think they're like 30-3 or so, give or take. 30-4. Obviously, we're picking St. John's in that one. So, who are you
Oh
picking
yeah.
out of this region?
This one is it comes down to a 1-2 again. I am just for right now. I'm going St. John's.
St. John's. I do like that pick. I wanted to do it, but with having Michigan State potentially upsetting Auburn,
You got to go
uh,
Florida.
gotta see here. Gotta get the juices flowing. I'm picking Florida.
Okay, all right. Well,
Um,
you could have went with Tech too. You were talking a big game
Texas
with
Tech.
Tech.
Yes, I am talking about Texas Tech when we broadcast my live bracket or my actual bracket. Texas Tech will be in the Elite Eight, but I still think Florida overtakes them.
Okay, all right.
I'll write it down right now. That's what's going to happen. So Florida over Texas Tech. All right, jumping into the East region. This one's pretty easy. Duke over over American or Mount St. Mary's. Um, Pretty easy. Cooper Flag doesn't even need to play in this game. He's banged up, but Duke is going to be a Final Four team no matter what. I hate to say it. Hate Duke. Fuck Duke. Um, they're a good team. They're a good team this year, man.
Very, very good team. I'm picking them to come out of this region. Spoiler alert. We'll just get that out of the way now. They're a good team. Let's just, yeah.
They're efficient. They're well coached. John Shire has been impressive. They
Been
have a
very
lot of
good,
good
yeah.
freshmen. Con Knable has stepped up with Cooper Flag being out. So, we could kind of jump into the next matchup right away. I'm picking Baylor in this one. This one I was kind of going back and forth about
I
because
got Baylor too.
Baylor is a okay team. They've kind of been like whenever I've watched them, they look like shit. But I just think that Mississippi State just is worse, and I don't know how they made it in the tournament. That's honestly my honest opinion is like how did you make the tournament? Um, I don't even have notes on them. They score a lot of points, but they're not very good. If that makes sense, when they don't score, they don't play very good. But I want to see Jeremy Roach. He actually came from Duke. I want to see him face off against Duke next round from Baylor.
Yeah, I think that should be a pretty easy one.
Storyline.
I like Baylor a lot more than Mississippi State too. Usually these are more of a coin flip, but I like the Baylor Bears.
Yep. All right. Next matchup: Oregon versus 12 seed Liberty. This is one of my least favorite 12s to pick. I'm picking Oregon.
Yeah,
This one's easy because just their history. I can't think of their Dana Altman. That's his name, Dana Altman.
yeah,
He's good
gets them there every year.
every year. He always wins at least one game. Solid Big Ten performance. First year over there. Nate Biddle is a senior, so having that leadership always helps. And I think that Oregon's going to win this game pretty easily.
Yeah, this is one that I've erased a couple of times here.
Yeah.
I like some things with Liberty, but I agree with you. That might be my least favorite 12 seed in this bracket, and you can't pick them all. So,
No.
and like you said, with Dana Altman, he gets Oregon in there, and they win at least a game every year. So, yeah, I might have to go back to Oregon.
The way that Liberty beats Oregon, and this is why they're kind of an eyeball emoji a little bit, like just betting wise, is because they shoot the ball so well from three. That's all they do. They shoot the ball from three. If they make it, they win. They're just another chaotic team. They slow it up. They shoot threes efficiently, but they suck making free throws. How that's possible is beyond me. They have one of the lower percentages in the league in free throws, but they're top five in 3-point shooting at 40%, which is wild.
Yeah, you know what? It sounds like we might be going with the Ducks here.
Oh yeah, picking the Ducks. Next matchup. 4-13 Akron versus Arizona. Arizona, obviously solid team led by Caleb Love, former Tar Heel. Uh, Wildcats, they're good. I mean, they're good on the boards. They score, but when Caleb Love seems to go in that lull where he just kind of not takes a break, but just falls apart. That's kind of where Arizona falls apart, but I don't think they're going to do that against Akron. I think Akron's not that good. And, they're favored by 13 and a half points. So might be worth a spread bet, but they've only lost once this calendar year. They're good on the offensive side. It could be the first time they won in first. This could be the first time that they've ever won a NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, don't tell some of that stuff to your buddy King James over there. Isn't he from Akron? Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I got Arizona in this game too. I don't love Akron. I thought that I was like, I don't love Arizona either though. So
no.
that's kind of why I was going back and forth. But I've got Arizona written down.
How many years are we going to get burned by Arizona too? Just like overall, that's
You
one
know
of the
what?
teams that like everybody always picks them to go far or have that like deep run, and it's just is this the year? I think they lose to Oregon next round.
Yeah, I was gonna say have them win a game, and then after that, yeah, Oregon's good. if they beat Liberty easily, they'll probably.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't love Arizona.
I don't either. Nice weather, but a little too hot for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, um, sorry, North Carolina's up 44-22 with 32 seconds left in the first half. Uh,
yeah. They're killing San. The fucking Aztecs, man. Jesus Christ.
you think that these people would stop giving us bulletin board material, and that's just what they're doing. They're giving us bulletin board material. RJ Davis, who was almost a player of the year last year, is just, he's a senior. He's a fifth year senior. We're ready. Let's make this tournament.
Okay, all right. Who's the
All right.
next one? BYU, VCU.
Yeah, BYU VCU. This is gonna be a popular one too. Another 6-11. I'm taking BYU. Taking
Yeah.
the Cougars. Um,
I
you
just
know,
hope they don't burn me again like last year because I
I
had BYU winning,
know.
I think, 2 games last year, and of course they lose the first round. And I actually like VCU, uh, but yeah, I'm taking BYU.
Yeah, they're one of the hottest teams in the country outside of Florida, in my opinion. They make a lot of threes. It's good for the tournament, but the lack of size in the front court is going to prove to be a problem later. Um, it's tough to say because VCU is pretty good. They won their tournament. Um, they're a good defensive team. So, what do you like more? Do you like defense? Do you like offense? We're taking BYU as well.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes time for the tournament, it's so tough to say which one you like more. I like teams. I'm boring. I like them both. I don't really
Yeah,
have an answer for you.
that's okay. We're both picking BYU pretty easily. Next matchup,
Hmm.
Wisconsin versus Montana. This is probably the easiest matchup of the bracket. Wisconsin's going to throttle Montana. Montana is one of the luckiest teams in the tournament. Fun stat based off of the Ken Palm model. Since they're the luckiest team, no team that's been the luckiest team in the tournament has ever advanced. But this isn't your normal Wisconsin team. They actually play really good they're really good defense as always, but they're well rounded. They're a very good offensive team. John Tunchi is one of the stars on that team. He's a Big Ten first All American. Like I said, good on both sides of the ball. Should make a deep run.
Yeah, sorry, Montanans, but I am taking the Badgers as well. Wisconsin's usually pretty good. They're usually good for a couple of wins.
Usually,
Um,
too. They're a team that burns us, but this is a different team. They just have a different feel.
yeah, I like the Badgers in this one.
Yep. Next matchup, St. Mary's at Vanderbilt. This one's going to be a coin toss as well. St. Mary's, a good team, but lost to Gonzaga recently. But Randy Bennett plays like one of the slowest paces. So if they play their game, they're probably going to win. Um, Good assist to turnover ratio, so they play a clean game. Whereas Vanderbilt, kind of a good coach team by Mark Bimington. It's his first year making the tournament for Vanderbilt. He coached at James Madison last year. Well balanced team. You could pick them to win. Kind of a coin toss, but I'll take St. Mary's just because name value.
I got the 7 seed in this one as well. Sorry for you Vanderbiltites, but St. Mary's I like. I've liked them the last few years. Are they the Gales?
Yeah,
The Gales. Yep, I'm going with the Gales.
easy enough. Next matchup, obviously, Bama over Robert Morris. Don't think that they have a shot. Bama's got this one easily.
Crimson Tide.
I think they have the highest offensive efficiency in the league right now. So obviously, you have to do that. They score a lot of points. You know, they make 10 threes per game. You got to kind of hope that. I mean, UNC lost to them, I think, last year just because of how well, and they brought just about everyone back. They're led by Mark Sears. Um, Turnovers have been a problem, same with fouls, but easily they can make a deep run in this tournament.
I agree. Well
All
said.
right. Who do you got going out? You got Duke?
Oh, I already said Duke at the beginning. We got the Blue Devils.
All right. I'm probably joining you. Duke's making the natty. unfortunately, just because of how deep they are. All right, last region. We got the Midwest. We have Houston at SIUE, another Southern Illinois team here making the tournament. Not going to be for very long, though. Houston is a
No,
good team.
no,
They
no,
won the
no.
Big 12 regular season and tournament. They're always a dominant team year in and year out. They're a very good defensive team. They limit the opponent's scoring. They're physical. They're aggressive. They're good on the boards. Um, if they could stay hot like they are right now, they're probably making a deep run. I mean, a lot of people want to pick the upset with them with the next matchup, but Houston's a good team.
Yeah, I got the Cougars in this one, and I'm looking at the upset in the next round because I don't love some of the top seeds in this in the Midwest, but we'll get to that.
Yep. All right. Next matchup, 8-9. We got Gonzaga versus Georgia. I'm taking the Zags. They won their tournament, and I think that's what's important. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, and they took out St. Mary's that third time. They're looking to make the 10th straight Sweet 16. They won the tournament, like I said. There's a deep senior team just because most of the time Gonzaga is always one of those teams that makes deep runs. They score really well. They take care of it as usual, so I think they're set up to make a deep run. I don't really know much about Georgia. Do you?
Couldn't tell you, but I like the Zags, and I like the second round matchup with Houston. I think the Zags actually match up with them pretty well,
Yeah,
and
they
I
do.
think that you could have a nice upset alert there.
Yeah, eyeball emojis.
Could be the first one seed out in the tournament.
Very well could be. But they just seem to always have be well prepared to make like kind of that Final Four, Sweet 16 run, in my opinion. So, next matchup, the 5-12, you got Clemson versus McNeese. Clemson, had a school best 27 wins. They beat Duke. They beat Kentucky. Their backcourt is a very good defensive duo. Kind of what you look for out of a tournament team if you want a team to win. They average about 7.5 steals, so they're good defensively. But they've kind of had a poor second half of that ACC tournament against Louisville, so they lost. I think they win. I mean, I don't know much about McNeese either. Um, I think they won. I think. Let's see here. No, they've never won a NCAA tournament game, but um,
McNeese, yeah, they
yeah,
were in it last year though with this head coach Will Wade, I believe, and you know what? There's something I had Clemson. I also erased that and I put McNeese here. This is an interesting one for me because I I feel like my brain is telling me Clemson, but
yeah,
the madness in me is telling McNeese. So
I know. That's one of the things too. Is like no 5 seed has ever won an NCAA tournament, so that's like one I'm like okay if we ever bet on, like you could put them to lose, and it wouldn't be a big deal. I'm going Clemson, ACC team, but it's going to be close. Let's see if we have a betting odds on that one. Do we have betting odds? 7.5. So that's good
oh,
odds. I like that odds. Anything under 10, I like. I'm still going Clemson though because I can't pick too many 12 seeds. Next matchup, you got Purdue at High Point. You talked about earlier. You liked High Point's name, but the Boilermakers have dropped 6 of their last 9 games. Not ideal to be entering the tournament. Didn't win, but they did beat Bama. They beat Michigan. They beat Maryland. A bunch of teams that made the tournament they beat. So, not the same team that we've seen the last couple of years. Zach Edey obviously went to the NBA. How do you feel?
I have Purdue in this game,
Yeah.
and I don't love it, but
No, they burn us every year. At least that's another team that I feel I pick them, they burn us. I did pick Fairleigh Dickinson that one year though.
I just I want to take High Point too. I like some of their stats, but it's just yeah, you can't take too many, you know. And I'm trying to make sure I don't take too many upsets, but Yeah, I don't love this one. I might have to. I don't know. I got
So
Purdue.
I might have to talk you into it too because they've won 14 straight games. They're a good shooting team. They're senior led. They have a deep bench. It's another. And see, that's the thing is you can't pick too many 13s, but this one
Yeah,
might be worth it. I mean,
it might be.
I might lean Purdue, but still,
Damn.
I know it
Damn.
sucks. We have Illinois in the next matchup. Um, Another team that I don't know. They're kind of a goofy team in my opinion. I think they might lose their first round matchup if it's Texas or Xavier, either one. Um, they're very young. They shoot 47% from three, but they're too streaky for me to like be really confident in them. Obviously, I'm not going to pick them right now to win, but it's gonna be tough.
You know what? I got to shout out the pops on this one. I asked him about a couple games, and this one came back. He's going Xavier, and he picked Xavier to win one or two games. I really I was going to take Illinois just because I want to give Illinois at least a game, but man, and then I looked at all three of those teams. I'm going Xavier. They've got some good statistics on the year, and sometimes the older people in this world know some things, and I'm hoping my elder knows at least one thing.
You'd hope that one
I
you
hope.
I don't know. I got nothing, but they're usually Xavier's usually pretty good when they make the tournament too. They usually win at least one game.
Let's hope. We're hoping for one,
All right, next matchup,
maybe two.
maybe two. Getting a little greedy here.
Getting a little mad.
All right, what is our next matchup? We have Kentucky at Troy.
Kentucky. Yep.
As much as I would love to see Kentucky lose, just because it's just always funny when Kentucky loses early in the bracket. They're super inconsistent. I just don't see them losing this game. They bring
Yeah.
better offenses to the dance. Um,
I got
yeah,
the Wildcats.
yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. Troy, you're losing. Kentucky, you'll win this game at least.
Sorry, Troy.
Um, UCLA 7 seed versus Utah State. UCLA didn't really play well. They got blown out by Wisconsin in the quarterfinals of the Big Ten tournament. You don't want to see that. They're really streaky. Another team that can string some wins around. They did beat Michigan State, Gonzaga, Arizona, and Wisconsin. So Mike Cronin, solid team. Good at forcing turnovers. I really have a hard time taking Mountain West teams, but if I had to pick one, this is one I'm going to take. This is their third NCAA tournament berth. They're deep. They just seem like a team that could pull it off, but they shoot terribly from the free throw line, and that's kind of like what I usually pick when I'm picking a bracket is who could shoot a free throw well. And
Well, because you gotta hit your free throws down the stretch, unless you're hitting every shot, and nobody's making every shot. So it's a good stat to have. I'm going with another upset here. I know 7-10s are kind of coin flip, but I'm going with Utah State, and I feel like I picked them last year or a couple years ago, and they might have screwed me if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
But you know what? We're all about second chances with this bracket, evidently. So we're going Utah State.
there you go. I think I might be joining you, but jury's still out.
Yeah,
Next matchup.
take it over.
Next matchup, we got Tennessee facing Wofford. Tennessee is an 18.5 favorite. Um, they made the SEC tournament. They play really, really good defense. This could be a team. If you had to pick a 2 seed outside of Michigan State, I could see Tennessee making a very deep run. Uh, they hold people from they hold opponents shooting 27% from outside the arc.
You know, I like Tennessee. I feel like Tennessee is, we've said this about, I don't know, like four or five different teams, but I feel like Tennessee has burned me. So
Yeah, they usually do.
I just don't, I don't love Tennessee. Now, what I do love, I like their home court. with the red and the orange and white checker or whatever. Their uniforms are solid, even though I'm not a huge fan of orange. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean Tennessee, yeah, they're gonna get past Wofford in this first round. How far they go, only time will tell.
Yeah. That's a bracket that could be very chalky, but could be complete chaos too. Just I don't see a lot of upsets. Like if I had to really put a pen to paper, I think Purdue makes it out. I think Clemson makes it out. Like if I had to go chalk and not pick any upsets in one side, I think this is the region to do it. Um,
Yeah,
I almost want to take Tennessee, but Gonzaga really is intriguing me. If I had to pick one of those 8 seeds to kind of make a deep run, it
yeah.
would be them over Houston. It's going to be time will tell if I end up doing that or not. But who do you got
Those
coming
might. Well, to answer your question, I think the winner of that game, if it ends up being Houston Gonzaga, might be who I have coming out of here. I like Tennessee. I don't love them. They've burned me. The Wildcats, I don't love. Purdue, I don't love. Clemson, I don't love. I really don't know who to pick with the Midwest. I might have lost. So I'll just say the winner of the Houston Gonzaga game.
Yep. All right, and you said you got Duke winning the whole thing though, regardless, right?
Dukies are winning the whole thing this year, or at least they should.
Yeah, I have a future bet on them to win. I placed it before the season started.
Mm.
It's tough. I'm going back and forth between them and Florida. I'm kind of leaning Duke just because I don't see anybody beating them. Bama will give them a trouble, but I just don't see it happening.
If Flag is healthy, I mean, they obviously didn't have him and they still won.
Yeah.
So if Flag is healthy, I think they probably should win. But you know what? It would be a hell of a game if it was them in Florida or them in Auburn or them in St. John's.
Yeah, St. John's is another one I kind of want to pick too. I like too many of these 2 seeds this year.
Yeah, Michigan State, St. John's, Alabama.
I like Tennessee over Alabama.
I like something about Alabama though. Like these last few years with Nate Oates, I think that's his name. They
Yeah.
score so many points sometimes in these games, and your eyes just they pop out of your head when you're scoring 90 to 100 points. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said earlier, too, um, so like how you pick your bracket winners, too, usually you try to pick it, you avoid a 5 seed, you avoid double digits. Um, usually 21 of the last 22 national championships have been in the top 25 in adjusted offensive and defensive efficiency. So you're looking at Auburn, Duke, Houston, Florida, Tennessee, Iowa State, and Clemson. They meet that criteria. Michigan State, Alabama, Louisville, Maryland, Arizona, Ole Miss, Gonzaga, Wisconsin, and Marquette are all inside the top 35. So that's another one. Just rattled them off. Um, it's one of those teams that, you could kind of talk about it where any of those teams would be the ones I take to win. You took Duke. I'm kind of looking at Florida. So kind of hard to pick them not to win.
Kind of looking at Florida because your heart's telling you just can't pick Duke.
No, I was like first bracket I filled out too. I had it with like Duke winning, and I'm like, no, I think Florida being as hot as they are, they can kind of take them a run for their money.
You know what though? Either way, we're shaping up to have another very good March Madness, another great bracket. Someone was saying this could be the best bracket ever. I don't know who that was, but maybe it was me. But you know what? That could be a hot take too. But yeah, we got today is Tuesday, so we got 2 more days, and then madness
Yep.
ensues.
And North Carolina's they're up by 20, so we're looking like we're gonna move on. So
Anything can happen.
hey, North Carolina Duke national championship. I think we'd both be
No,
happy.
I was hinting more at you guys could lose in the second half, but I mean, we'll see.
Nope, not gonna happen. So all
San Diego
right,
State hit some
buddy.
fucking shots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, buddy. I'll see you later.
yeah, deuces.